Daniel and Ariel were talking, and Daniel kind of reflected back. He went back not only over his career, but over his last match. A couple things that were said. He was bringing up his biggest rival and who he wants tied to in the sport, and the way within his own mind he will reflect back on his rival within the sport. And he said it's not John Jones, regardless of the business or the excitement that might have been around that. My biggest rival was Stipe. And he said a lot of it had to do with respect. John Jones is going to be well known for being a great fighter and also a lot of learning lessons on all the things not to do, whereas Stipe is going to be known as a great fighter as well as a firefighter and a great person who was never in violation of the rules. All right, very cool by Daniel. And before you think that was some kind of sour grape, right? I'm choosing Stipe as my rival because I also happen to have a win over him. It's not what it was. He was very complimentary of John Jones. In fact, the discussion came up of what's going to happen when and if John moves to heavyweight. And Daniel said, look, you like him or don't like him. If you have John Jones' skills, you can go at any weight you want and be competitive, which is true. If he was to say anything else than that, if anybody was to say anything else than that, it would sound like sour grapes, right? You can only be shown the greatness of John Jones enough times before you have to admit the greatness of John Jones. If you choose to pick on John for something else, that's a totally different conversation. But if you're attempting to talk about his skills within the sport of the mixed martial arts, under the free five mat 40 systems, this is a pretty good job. And he did touch on, though, him own self and why he didn't retire and within the ring. He said, Ariel, I'd said it was going to be my last fight before that fight. I meant it. It was going to be my last fight. And in hindsight, it is and was. But I didn't take my gloves off and do the ceremonious retirement in the ring because that would have taken the focus and spotlight off of Stipe. That was his moment. And he earned it. And all eyes needed to be on him. And I just didn't want to take away from that. I am retired. I officially will announce my retirement, but I did that in a different setting. And I think that does speak to the character of Daniel Cormier because I think he's sincere in that. A lot of guys will have an experience within life where they come up smelling roses and then they rewrite history. Have you ever read a business book in your life? Every jerk that writes a business book lies about how he got there. Well, I knew if I did this and I just believed in trust. No, he did none of those things. He took a risk. He saw an opportunity, put himself in a position to win. Once he wins, he rewrote the book into I knew, as though somehow he was like Nostradamus and could see the future, and making it within business and success within his field wasn't enough. He also had to be smarter than everybody else on top of it. It's just the way that it goes, where somebody rewrites history to align with a narrative that is better or more beneficial for them. It sounded to me extremely sincere that that's what Daniel did, because as I watched the whole thing happen, it's exactly in line and the way that he said it happened. And he is right. If he would have taken his gloves off and left them there, that would have been the establishing shot. That would have been the final shot, not only of that match in between them. That is how the show would have faded to black and rolled the credits. It would have been locked in on Daniel's gloves in the center of the octagon with the athletic tape wrapped around him. That's what it would have been. Instead of what it should have been, which was Stipe pumping both hands in the air with a 12-pound gold belt around his waist. That's what that night was about. That's what was established. Nothing should have interfered with that storyline. And I've seen guys do it the other way. There was a pro wrestling match. The night Shawn Michaels won the championship, Bret Hart passed it to him. Bret Hart went out there, did the job, passed it to Shawn. And the lights are on and the confetti's coming down and Shawn's in the ring holding up this belt as though he had actually won it. But within his mind, I suppose he actually did. And Bret is in there trying to give him a hug and tell him, man, you worked hard to get here. Good job. And Shawn says to him, get the hell out of here. This is my moment. And that hurt Bret's feelings. Because Bret acknowledged, just it's your moment, but I passed it to you. I got to where I am. I created this moment for us and now for you, but we're in this together. And Shawn saw it differently and Bret respected it. Dropped down and rolled out of the rings. It hurt his feelings, but he understood it. I only share that for you because there is also something to be said for Shawn's side of it. And as selfish as that might sound and as rude as that might sound that he said that to Bret, but he wanted all lights on him, that it was his night, it was his moment. Everybody in life gets their 15 minutes, and as Shawn saw it, those were his 15 minutes. Stipe did not see it that way, did not care, wouldn't care any less. Daniel cared for Stipe. Daniel thought this is the right thing to do. And the same as when Daniel beat Stipe and they brought Brock in and ushered Stipe out the back so Daniel could have this moment and look to start the marketing for the future. The same as it was good for the goose, he thought it was good for the gander, and he did not want to take that away from the champ. I bring this to you. DC and Errol are doing this great piece. It's Mondays on ESPN. But you should go and check it out if you didn't have an opportunity. I summarized this week's for you. Next one is on you.